What's going on, YouTube? Another update video. As you can see, nothing has changed since the last video, but that's about to change. As you can see, all the wheel gap. Okay. Then the rear has less because my rear struts are blown. Well, this is what I'm going to be putting in today. Got the Eibach Sportline lowering springs. Like I said, Eibach. There's a part number for 06 to, it says 07, 06 to 07, I don't know. Mine's an 07. Then I got the Eibach Sportline lowering springs. And then I got some new struts. These are from, I got them from eBay. They're called Stagg. They're pretty cheap and the quality is actually pretty damn good. I'm trying to get one out for you real quick. Has like a genuine sticker thing and they're like gunmetal gray. Pretty dope. But anyway, I got the front struts right there and right there. Then the rear struts are here. And like I said, the Eibach Sportlines. It's supposed to lower it 1.4 inches. So, my bad for the camera. So 1.4 inches is probably right there. So that means the fender is going to be right above the tire. Yeah, no, I need to get a paint pen for that. I don't really care, though. Just a daily. But anyway, this is a before. Like I said, the rear is lower than the front because the rear shocks are blown. Right now, if anyone's wondering, I'm on completely stock suspension. Stock SI suspension. But I'm gonna go ahead and install all of this. I'll be back to you. Probably gonna be 1 second for you guys, then probably about, I don't know, 5 hours for me. Because the rear is really hard to do. But I'll throw up a photo right now of all this stuff laid out so you can see the rears and what it all comes with. If anyone's wondering, the lowering springs were $200. $199 something shipped. Then the front struts, which are the two fronts and the two rears with the bushings for the rear, these were $120 shipped. I got these from HPT Auto Parts or HTP Auto Sport, if I remember right. Then these are from eBay. But anyways, I'll go ahead and do an after in 2 seconds. What's going on? So, I think about like 7 hours later, I finally got it all done. The reason why it took me so long is because I cleaned the inside of the wheels and I cambered the rear end and cleaned stuff and took my time and ate and etc. You know. But this is what it looks like right now. The suspension hasn't like fully settled yet. I'm sure over 1,000 miles the springs will settle in and it'll get like a hair lower. As you can see though, there's like 2 fingers of gap right here, which in my opinion, 2 finger gap is absolutely perfect on lowering springs. If I was on coilovers, I'd want to do like 1 finger gap. But with lowering springs, since they're not coilovers, they have a lot more suspension travel, so you need more gap. On the rear, I believe it's a 2 finger gap also. Oh no. Yeah, see the rear is 1 finger gap. I don't know why the rear is lower. Yeah, look at that, that's 1 finger gap. I just drove it around the block and it's rubbing in the rear, like on bigger bumps. I don't know if it's rubbing the typical tab right here, when I got the car, the tab, this little bumper tab right here that it rubs on, you know, like normally on 8th gens, it was all bent in like, you know, you're supposed to do. But I bent it back out because I thought I would never be this low. As you can see, that right there is a perfect ride height in my opinion with coilovers or lowering springs. And this is how my camber looks. It's, I'll find the edge of the tire real quick. Right there's the edge of the tire. So it, you know, needs to be cambered in or cambered out like 1/8 of a degree. I cambered them all in the rear where they were flush. But the car hasn't settled yet, so I cambered them in, just driving around the block. But anyway, the camber is pretty dang flush. I don't like how so much negative camber the rear has compared to the front. You can see right there, look at all the rear negative camber and look at all the front negative camber. These are exactly the same wheel specs, front and rear. And the rear has so much more negative camber than the front. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. I don't like having different camber front to back. I've heard people talk, or I've heard people mill down the back of the hub on the wheel 5 millimeters to technically make the rear offset plus 40. Because right now I'm running 17x9 plus 35 with a 245/40 all around. And like as you can see, the rear has a lot more negative camber, and the front is flush camber also. You can see the front is like flush camber. But yeah, you can see it from right there. The front is perfect. I want the rear to look like the front, but for the rear to be flush camber, it has to be all negative and poked out like that. So either I do one of two things. I have to have matching camber. I'm too OCD. Now if I was doing all the stand scene, then I wouldn't care. But I gotta do one of two things in the future. One, get these wheels milled down in the back 5 millimeters. And that will help a little bit. Or get a spacer for the front, like a 5 millimeter spacer, kick the front wheel out, then negative the front camber, or run negative camber in the front so it'd match the rear. But I don't really want to run negative camber. I love to run like zero or close to zero camber, like 1 or 2. But I think the front is maybe -1 or 2. The rear, I think, is at least 3 or 4. I don't know. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but it's cambered pretty good. Now, I wish I knew what degree the camber is, because if the rear is -2, then I wouldn't mind running -2 all around, because I mean it's not terrible, but like I said, I might just mill the rears down 5 millimeters so it'd make it a plus 40, then see where the camber is out on that, because anything more than 5 millimeters, you're pushing the limits of how thick the hub is. So I'm probably gonna mill it down 5 mils, and then see where the camber is at in the rear. Then maybe get spacer, like a 3 mil for the front or a 5 mil to the front. Then match the front camber to, or yeah, match the rear camber. Yeah, you can see the rear is like 1 or 2 more negative degrees. And if you guys know me, I'm kind of a butthurt for good fitment. But anyways, that's gonna be the update for today, this week, this month, I don't know. Next things I want to get is I want to get rid of these lug nuts. Like I said in the last video, these were red when I got them, but they faded. They're inky lug nuts. I want to get black ones, and I'm going to be ordering custom inky center caps, and that will set the wheels off. Then eventually get new calipers in the front and the drilled and slotted rotors in the front, and that will be done with the suspension. Then after that, all the mods are going to be exterior. Headlights, fog lights, front lip, side skirts, rear lip, wrapping the roof black, and getting this little piece right here in black. And after those mods are done, then they'll probably gonna be doing bolt-ons like cold air intake, fuel rail, eventually Flash Pro, Honda Flash Pro. Then hopefully, I'm hoping for like, after I do more mods, I'm gonna get new exhaust, new race header, new throttle body eventually. I'm hoping for like 220 wheel horsepower, which I don't know if that's too far-fetched, but anyways, that's gonna be the video for today. Got all the old suspension. It's funny, right there is my stock RSX springs. Now there's a stock SI springs, a stock SI suspension. But yep. Alright, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. See ya.